Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's engineer interview with James. My name is Scott, and I'm your host for today. Just before we start, I would like to say thank you very much for signing up to this year's competition. For those of you who don't know, this is the Leaders Award competition, where we ask the question, if you were an engineer, what would you do? Pupils from the ages of 3 to 19 anywhere in the UK can join, before being tasked with identifying a problem in the world around them and coming up with a creative solution to that problem. Now, during these interviews, we're going to be speaking with engineers who work on loads of different projects, all of them showing the wonderful, interesting, and exciting things that happen when you work in engineering. To start with, we'll have a presentation from James all about the incredible world of Lego and toy design before we open up to the audience for questions. If you do have a question, please type it in the chat and make sure to put down your name and school name so I can read them out. But that's everything for me. I'm now going to pass over to James, who's going to start his presentation.
Yeah. All right. So, hi everyone. I'm James May, but not the one from Top Gear. Yes, I'm a toy designer, and I work for a company called Polydron, who make geometric shapes, which is like squares and triangles, for schools and classrooms. But today, I'm going to be talking about my adventure of how I became a Lego designer, where I got to design toys such as this, and this, and this, and this, and this. But who am I? So, as I said before, I'm James, I'm from Aberdeen, and I currently live in Denmark with my wife and our cat Gucci. In my spare time, I like to play old video games and watch old movies from before any of you guys were born. And I live near an international airport, so I like to travel a lot. And of course, I love playing with Lego bricks. So I meant to tell you all about what is Lego, but I think you guys probably know what it is. But in case you didn't know, they make little bricks with wee studs on them that clip together. It's a family-run business that started in 1932, has made bricks since 1953, and has been the enemy of feet ever since. And now, after 90-something years, it's the biggest toy company in the world, I believe. But what is a designer? To me, there's kind of like this spectrum where on the one side, you've got artists who are super creative and open-minded to ideas, but a bit less practical. And you got engineers, like the people over at Prime Engineer, who are super practical and technical, but maybe not the most creative. So in the middle, you have designers, who is someone who is really creative and can come up with really cool ideas, but with the technical knowledge to make them a reality. So here's my journey of how I became a toy designer. It all started when I was a kid where, like a lot of you, I like playing with Lego bricks. So much so that I actually wanted to work for them as an adult. But that was kind of seen as, like a radical dream, like being an astronaut or a Twitch streamer, where it's like, it's cool, but you're not going to get there. But because I played with Lego as a kid, I was really good at art and creative subjects, but then also logic, logic-based skills like maths and science, because it's quite logical when you build things with Lego bricks. With the subjects that I did well in, I then went on to do mechanical engineering at university. There's a lot of maths, but not a lot of art involved with that. So when I was looking for internships as a student, I saw that Lego was actually hiring, and I thought oh, I'll apply just as a joke. But then, joke's on me, I got the job, and I was shipped out to Denmark for a year to build Duplo models. And then the experience that I had there was absolutely amazing. But more importantly, unlike an astronaut, I could actually maybe make it as a Lego designer. So because of that experience, I then decided to do a second degree, this time in product design. Doing this let me have showcase more of my art skills, and also taught me how to design toys that kids would actually have fun playing with. And then after all that, I applied for a job at the Lego Group, and I didn't get the job. So the motto of the Lego Group is only the best is good enough, and they were not messing around. But on the second try, I did get hired. Hooray! So I got the job. But what do you actually do as a Lego designer? Surely you don't just like play with bricks all day long. Well, kind of. Yes. Well, there's a bit more to it than that. But the best way to make a Lego model is to have bricks in hand on the desk in front of you and just like build something cool. And in the office, they have unlimited bricks in every color and every shape. So, you know, it's quite magical. So a bit about how a Lego model is actually made. Start with the boring bit. You have to do some research first. It's always fun to build what you want, but you know, you have to remember that you're building for other people and not just yourselves. So you need to look into like, what do kids think is like, what would like kids think is a cool toy? And like, is there any like new technology that you want to put into the model? And like, what is fun? Like coming up with like, what is a fun thing for kids to build? And then now is your fun bit of the ideas phase where the sky's the limit and you're just kind of, well, based on the research, of course, building whatever you want and like coming up with all the crazy and wacky designs that your heart's desire. And then you just keep building and building until you have a bunch of different models. And then it's up to the boss to pick which ones get made into real Lego sets. At this stage, you're using more of your art skills, and you're like being super creative and like working together as a team to just come up with these cool ideas. Ooh, hang on. Oh, wrong way. Yeah, that way. Yes. So once the lineup is picked, you're given a mod to work on, and this is where like the design and engineering part comes into it. Each Lego model will have a budget, and so say the model is going to be £20 in a shop. That means you can't put in £30 of Lego bricks because then it's not going to make any money. But then you can't put in £10 of Lego bricks because then no one's going to buy it because it's going to be, you know, too small. So you need to design it in a way that gets everything that you want in it at the right size and the right price. And if there's any sort of like crazy functions inside it, you have to work out how to design that, but then also in a way that kids are able to build it with following the instructions. So this picture is an example of in that camera that I did, where it's just like building the function by itself. And then once that got nailed, you then put it into the model like that. So that's it inside the camera. We also have to make the model really stable. You know, when you build like a Lego tower and then when it gets too high, it starts to get wobbly and then falls over. We have to make sure that when you follow the instructions, it doesn't do, well, that. If there's something that we can't make with existing bricks, and we tried everything, we will then design a new brick. This is normally done with 3D modeling, and then, yeah, then it's sculpted and then made in plastic. This could be something like a new Stormtrooper helmet, if it's like a new Star Wars film or something coming out, or a more functional brick to solve a tricky problem. When you're designing a new brick, you have to think about things like how strong it is, what type of plastic to make it out of, and can it actually be molded? And then at the end, just like at school, you have a final test for the model. We meet with the people that write the building instructions and someone who's called a model coach, who's like a master of the Lego system. And then we sit there and build the model from start to finish, step by step, and to make sure that every step of the way it's meeting the high standard of the Lego group. Again, only the best is good enough. Yeah, so some of the fun tests that we have to do to the model as well is the heat test, where you put it in the oven overnight, which makes the bricks really like soft, and you can check if the model is weak. And if it stays together after being baked, then it's strong enough to be made into a real set. And then another one is this, yeah, that's working. Another one is robot testing. So here's an example of that with that camera again, where this is it pressing the button thousands and thousands of times to make sure that after years of play, it still, yeah, functioned as intended. Yeah, so that. And then, yeah, once the model's passed all its tests, we say goodbye to it, and it's sent off to people like the instructions writers, people who make the box art, and the people who produce the thousands of Lego bricks to put it in the box. And also any new bricks that have been designed, this one they'll be made for the first time, and then it's shipped to shops all around the world. And so, after moving to Denmark, I then lived happily ever after. Until 5 years later, when I got poached by a company called Polydron. Part of being a professional child is having the attention span of one. So despite the journey it took to get there, I was looking to take on a different challenge, toys for education. This brings on a whole different set of challenges and rules for how you design things. Like, I'm sure your teachers will agree, but you lot are terrible at looking after school equipment. So we have to make sure that it holds up to kids' abuse for the years and years that like these toys will be in schools. So it's all about making like the products chunkier and thicker to make sure that if you chuck it off a wall, it stays together. And there's also something like a bit more wholesome about making like educational toys rather than ones made for shops, because there's like this feeling of like a more of like a benefit for society that like kids are learning things from these toys. It does mean though that I can't make cool things like super robots anymore. Oh, but it doesn't stop me from trying. So I would say that if you want to grow up to be a toy designer or a designer in general, the most important thing is being part of a team, which sounds a bit lame, but back at Lego, I would rather work with someone who's not good at building with bricks, who is really friendly and good to bounce ideas off of, than someone who's really good at building, but is a bit stubborn and rude. At school, subjects like maths and physics are good for getting that technical and logical mindset and getting skills in engineering, but I would say don't ignore being creative as well. It's all about a balance.
If I can just ask you to stop sharing your screen. Perfect. We are now going to open up to the audience for questions. If you do have any questions, please type them in the chat. But I get the first question, James, and that question is, what is your favourite thing about being a toy designer?
Ooh. I would say that, favorite thing about being a toy designer. I would say that it sounds a bit lame, but like seeing kids have fun with something that you've designed. Like I think like that's like obviously like the ultimate like reward at the end, where it's just like, wow, like I made that kid happy, and like that's there's something really special about that.
That's a good answer, but you're right, because you then get to see what you've built used by someone and enjoying it. That must be special. We've got questions flowing in now, and we've got a few people have asked a similar question, so I'll ask it all at once. What was one of the hardest or most challenging Lego designs that you were a part of? And coming from, we love this creative idea, but how do we actually make it work?
Before I answer that, is there a way of muting the chat? Because I can just hear ping, 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 ping over and over.
If you click Do Not Disturb on Teams, I think that'll stop the pinging.
Do not disturb. Oh my goodness. Okay, it's stopped now. It's stopped now. So sorry, what was the question again?
What is, a few people have asked, what is some of the hardest?
Most challenging. So I would say it was the Lego typewriter was the hardest one, because in that there's, so you know how there's like Lego with the bricks, and then there's Lego Technic, where it's like all the kind of like the gears and like shafts and whatever. So it had like a lot of technical functions on the inside. And I was only at the company for like 2 months when they were like, so it's like first model was like this little 10-pound model, like a little tut-tut. And then it's like, okay, your second model is a 200-pound typewriter. It's like, what? Okay. So like, I think like the combination of it being my second model and also just like, it is a very complicated model. And that was rough, but you know, we did it in the end. We got there.
And like you said, imagine having a good team to work with makes that bit easier.
Yes, definitely. Yes, there was a lot of like asking, like, Technic people, like going over to their desk, like, please help me. I don't know what I'm doing.
So we've got a great question on design from Lola at the Onshin School. How does a design get out of your head and into real life?
Ooh, well, there's a lot of ways to do that. I think, well, obviously, when working with Lego, just like building things out of bricks is a good way of doing that. There's also, if you're good at sketching, or even if you're not good at sketching, just being able, just like drawing it down, no matter how rubbish the sketch is, like that just gets it out of your head and onto paper. And then also like a really good way is just talking to people. Like again with the teamwork, if you've got a team and you just like, hey, I've got this cool idea, and then you tell them, then that's it out in the world. And even better, they can then immediately respond like, oh, that's a good idea, or nah, that's a naff idea. Or they could be like, oh, that's cool. And what if you did this? And then that's how you get like the conversation started.
And then that because it sounds like when you sort of showed us the picture of the bosses date to come and decide which is Bill, it sounds like
Yeah.
everyone's kind of got their own idea and they're all working together to pitch it. Is that how the process worked?
Yeah, so you just have like lots and lots of different ideas, and obviously you can't make all of them at the same time. So we just kind of, it's basically like, I guess, like an art gallery setup where you have all the ideas in front and we kind of like talk through the pros and cons of each one. And then say we've got like 50 different models on the tables. We'll then have to pick like 5 to 10 of them for that kind of like wave of toys coming out for that team.
We've got, as I say, got loads of questions. This is a question that I think everybody wants to know, but it's been asked by Freya in the Dolphin class at Farrington. What is your favourite Lego set that you have designed?
That I have designed, I would say. So there's the camera that like I think I'm the most proud of because that's also got like a cool technical function like the typewriter, and it just looks so much like the camera. But I would say in terms of like what's the best toy I've designed, it would be the theater school that I did, where it's like it just has so many like opportunities to play in it. Like it's got like curtains that you can like open and close. You can swap out the background. It's got a bunch of different like costumes for the characters. There's a trapdoor, and it just has like all these different opportunities for kids to like act out their own play like on stage. And also like it opens up, so you got like the street view, so it's like a facade of like a old like West End London theater, and then it opens up and it's all like grand on the inside, and then you can flip it around. It's got the backstage, and it's got like yeah, all these cool little bits to it.
Oh, that sounds really good, and I love that. It's because of all the opportunities to play within it. This is why
Yeah.
I love that. This question comes from Leo from Bewley. He wants to know how is the plastic, or how is the plastic made for the toys? There's a lot of plastic used in it. Obviously, we think a lot about recycling, because obviously with Polydron as well, there must be plastic pieces coming together. Is it all plastic that is used?
Yeah, so at Polydron, we're doing a lot to switch over to recycled plastic. So, like plastic that's already been used, and then it's like ground up and then used again. So, like it's kind of like the cycle of yeah, reusables. And so I think they're up at like 70% of their plastic now is recycled. Um, but yeah, sorry, what was the
It was just that if it's all plastic that's used, is there other sort of components come into it? Obviously, we looked at you've got to bake the Lego
Yes,
pieces and the
yeah.
oven
So
and
like
everything, but
it
there's lots of
is
different materials.
yeah, with Polydron it's all plastic except for the we've got like magnetic stuff, so obviously that's got the magnets in it. And then at Lego, again, other than some like techie components with like, motors and whatever, it's all like different types of plastic that they use. And I think they've got some recycled plastic now, but I'm a little bit out of the loop on that from Lego side of things.
We've had a few questions in about sort of the future of toy design and engineering and stuff, and how the technology that's coming out can be used. And Hermione wants to know, what are your views on AI? Can it be used in product design?
Ooh. Um, I'm a little bit against AI in terms of like I don't know. I obviously quite like the kind of having an artist make the art, but like I think like there could be a way that it could be put into like the very very early stage of things where it's just like give me 10 ideas, and then but then making sure that like you still have that human element throughout the whole process. But I don't think he'll well, for my own job security. Oh, is that a cat?
Yes, it was.
Oh, cute. Um, yeah, I would say for my own job security, I'm hoping that it doesn't like the whole process isn't just like AI generated toys. Like I think like you still need like people to like come up like 3D model, like have like that kind of like human input to like make it connect with humans on like that emotional level.
And again, it goes to that teamwork you said as well. Like you've got to bounce ideas off a person, and sometimes that person's own experience can help it. So, but it's just everyone's aware of it, the sort of
Yeah,
progress of
yeah.
the AI, to know. We've got a really good question in here from St Dominic's primary, the primary six class at St Dominic's. Where do you find your inspiration for your toy designs?
Inspiration for my toy designs. I mean, a lot of it. Well, like, yeah, I'd say that the research phase that I gloss over because it's, I guess, the boring part. Like, there's a lot of like, looking online. Like, I think like a lot of like cartoons and kids' TV shows is quite good for finding inspiration because like those are made to be fun. There's also like, I guess like competitor research because it's not like copying other people's toys, but it's just like if you can like evoke the feelings that these other toys are coming up with and like you can incorporate that into your own models and be inspired. um yeah, it's just like having a knowledge of the world around you because like inspiration can come from anywhere, so it's just like making sure that your mind is open to receiving that information, I guess.
So, do you have that moment when you're sort of playing an old video game or you're watching an old movie or TV and you go, "That we could do that"?
Yeah, it would be like something like, yeah, like I don't know, like in a game that you'd be like you'd like flip a switch and then like a bridge would lower or something in the video game, and then you think like, oh, like if I could like put that into a model, like that would be like a really cool thing for like kids to act out, and like something like silly like that.
Oh, I love it. So we've got this question from the year one at Heatherlands. Reggie wants to know how you made the polydrawn robot.
Ah, yeah. So the Polytron robot that was so I made a dinosaur for them that was like the biggest model that they'd ever made, and they were like, wow, that's huge, that's great, like what else could you make? It's like, well, so like I'm a huge fan of like robots and like mechs and things like that. I think you can just see like my like models like just off screen there. I've got like a big like display of them. So it was just like, oh, so you want big models, do you? So well, it's like I always wanted to just like make a big robot out of giant Polydron. So like the biggest challenge was making it stay upright because it's so big, like it like fall over. So it was a lot of like, yeah, structural engineering. Yeah, tied it background engineering. Yeah. Yeah, so making sure that like it's got like these big chunky feet so that it has like a big like wide base, and then it gets like kind of smaller as you go up so that yeah, it doesn't topple over.
I like it. It's almost like building a skyscraper or a big tall building. You've still got to put
Yeah.
the same thought process into it. But when you're doing things like building that, I've got a great question from Otherley and Middlesoy. If one of the pieces breaks while being tested, what do you do? So you've got your plan, you've designed it, you've got the plan in place, you start all the testing, and all of a sudden one of the pieces doesn't work.
Well, so if it breaks during testing, I'd say that obviously that's sad and annoying that like that part doesn't work, but because you like that is why you're doing the testing rather than releasing it to schools and then it's someone in a classroom that discovers it breaks. So you always learn something from breaking. So it's like say it like breaks in a certain place, you can then be like, aha, that place must be structurally or like that place must be quite weak. So then you know what area to focus on so that the next version that you make won't break in that same place.
Yeah,
So it's
so it's
always
not
like
a bad
it's a
thing.
learning opportunity rather than a failure.
Yeah, because it's one of the things that we hear a lot from engineers is that it's if something breaks, you go, oh, now we know why. So we know that
Yes.
this is a problem, you can fix it.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
We've had this question again from quite a lot of people, but this one comes from Ella. Who inspired you? Was there some person when you were younger that did something similar that made you think, oh, that's possible?
Um, Not when I was young. I would say that yeah, maybe when I was like a late teenager, early late teenagers, so like just like end of school, start of university. Like I did see like Lego do these videos where it's like designer videos where it's like the designer's there and they tell you about the model that they've designed. And there was a guy called Jordan Scott who was a Scottish uh, model designer, and like I saw his video, and then like that did make me kind of think like, I just assumed that like every like even back then I didn't know that Lego was in Denmark. I just assumed it was in America. Like I was like, oh, it's weird seeing like a Scottish guy do this. Like, oh, I'm Scottish. Like, oh, maybe like I could have a, and I think that's what then made me think like, oh, I'll go on their website and see what jobs they got available. Ha ha ha. Um, so yeah, it was just like, so I guess like seeing someone in a similar situation to me, it's like, oh yeah, like that made me think like, oh yeah, that I could actually be in that role.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's just you saw someone go. It just makes the brain click. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, yeah. We've got another question here from Amy Winch, which I think is really interesting. Which is, do you find it easier now to do your job now that you've done it for a while? So has that experience helped you do your job easier, or is this creative thing always there?
Um, I would say yeah, yes, yeah, it does help you do your job. How do I word it? Yeah, so it is easier to do my job, but then I think there's also a little bit of you kind of need fresh eyes on things to be creative. So it's always nice to have like new people looking at things because like after you do things for a while, you kind of get a feeling of like what works, what doesn't work, and what have you tried before. And then you kind of might get like stuck in your ways a little bit. So that's why things like interns are really good because it's like these like young, bright-eyed people. It's like, hey, why don't we try this? And then like so like the older people might be like, no, we tried that before. But then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Like they might be like there'll just be like something a bit different that like you wouldn't have considered because you're too stuck in your ways. Um, but in terms of like day-to-day stuff, yeah, having experience does like help a lot with again knowing what does and doesn't work so you don't make the same mistakes again. Um, but then also as you know, you're in your career for longer, you then are given like more responsibility. So there's always new challenges being like put on you as you go through your career.
Yeah, in fact, that's a really good point you make about sort of people coming in and asking questions and saying why not this way, because everyone watching this is going to come up with their own engineering idea. So you might be
Yes.
already thinking of a way to fix something in the world that everyone else hasn't thought of yet. Um, we've got time for a few more questions, just looking at the time, although I could do this for another hour. We've got this question comes from Bromstone School in Broadstairs. Have you ever made a Lego person that looks like you?
Yes, I several times. Yeah.
Love it.
So at Lego headquarters, or like in the town that Lego is, they've got like a thing where it's like make your own minifigure, and then you can customize it. You can like engrave on the torso and stuff. So I've been there several times and made my own little James, with
Brilliant.
like stupid big hair and the glasses and that. Yeah.
And we've actually got just on the minifigures a question from Goddard Park. Why do minifigures only have curved hands?
Oh, it's so you can clip things into them. Let's say it's more of a instead of it looking like a hand and then you can't put things in it. It's a clip that lets you. You know, I got a figure here and a little clippy thing here. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's just to let you clip things in like that, and so it's more function over form is why they do that.
Ah. So I think we've got time for two more questions. And this is a really thoughtful question from Charlotte at Farrington Gurney. If you had to make a Lego set for your wife, what would you make it look like?
Ooh, I would say look like our cat. Um, it's her favorite thing in the world, and we love her dearly. So like, I think like a little, yeah, Lego version of our cat Gucci. I think she'd love that.
And I think we've just got time for one more question. Sorry, I didn't get the name of who written it in, but if you are back, if you could talk to your younger self who thinks I really like Lego, but you didn't really think it could go to be a job, what advice would you give to that person who thinks actually I could go and be a designer?
Um, oh, I don't know. Well, because I did get the job. Like I think like I did follow the path. Right? I guess just like there was this kind of like period of time through my teen years where I yeah I just kind of ignored it all. It's like yeah I'm gonna not do toy design and have like a more standard job. And I think like if like it would be nice to keep up the yeah like I said like I didn't do much art when I was like a young adult or like a teen. So like it would be nice to have kept that up because like that could have helped me later in my career and maybe I wouldn't have needed to go on and do a postgrad.
Well, actually, I know I said that was the last question, but I've just seen one which I think is really interesting, and it comes in the Dolphin class. They ask which degree is most useful to your career, but also what skills do you use most in everyday work?
Everyday work, I do a lot of 3D modeling these days. So learning how to do that, I think, was like pretty good for if you want like a job in like that manufactures products such as toys. Um, I would say that yeah, it's really like I use all of it these days because like yeah, I'm doing like this designing for manufacture, which comes from the engineering side, but then also like yeah, coming up with the ideas. Like a lot of that I learned how to do from um yeah from art school. So I think like you do get degrees where it's like product design engineering. So it's like this kind of like mix of the two. So if I could go back, I would have done something like that rather than two separate degrees.
Perfect. Well, I think that's some good advice and some practical advice at the end. But just looking at the time, we're going to have to bring this interview to a close. I would just like to say thank you to everyone for joining us, but a special thanks to James for speaking with us today and inspiring all the engineers in the making out there, because now it is your turn to come up with your own engineering ideas. Remember, you are looking to identify a problem in the world around you and come up with a creative solution for that problem. You then draw your idea down, write a letter telling us what it is, and send it in for us to grade and judge. But that's everything for today. I want to say thank you very much, everyone, but a special thanks to James. And remember, if you were an engineer, what would you do?